Hey, I kind of figured I'd take the time and talk about something that's been bugging me for a while. I think I touched upon it a few times in my videos, excuse me. But I'm just gonna say that it is nice out. I mean, it's chilly, but I like it. My real name is Christian. The second name, Ada, holds a special place in my heart. It's kind of personal. So I'll just keep that. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself so you can understand why I do have issues with some of the stuff, especially YouTube influencers, and them lying and getting paid for it. It's something that really bugs me or gets under my skin, actually. So I'm going to start off with this so you can understand where I'm coming from. In 2001, I had bariatric surgery, which is, in layman's terms, gastric bypass. I used to weigh 452 pounds. At 5'7", that's a lot. And I got the surgery because I was unhappy with the way I looked. Before they do the surgery on you, you have to go for some counseling and to a support group meeting so the patient can make sure they understand what they're getting themselves into, because that surgery is irreversible. It is dangerous doing it the first time and deadlier trying to undo it, which is why they don't recommend undoing it. It's way worse. So I remember me and a friend of mine went to some of the meetings together, me and my friend Kathy, and there were people giving their little testimonies. There was a few people who looked amazing after having their surgery. There was this woman in particular, I forgot her name, but she looked like a completely, totally different person. And she, got up, spoke about, her surgery, her weight loss. I think she was 2 years post-op. And like I said, she looked amazing. What happened was I'm not sure if I had the right to be upset with her the way I got. It was when she started saying that she didn't tell people at her job, her coworkers, that she had the surgery. She kept it to herself, and that she told some family members, but didn't tell everyone, in her family, that she got the surgery done. And it just upset me because I was like, okay, so you're lying to the people at your job how you lost your weight. So I got passionate about it. I disrupted the meeting. My friend was so embarrassed, she got up and she left because it bothered me a lot. Did I have a right to be upset? The only reason I found out about that surgery because another friend of mine, a guy named Mark, that I knew for a year and a half, I met him online, and we actually met up in person, and he too had a weight problem. So I went out with him twice, friendship basis, nothing more than that, because he lived in Yonkers, which is not too far away from the Bronx. I was born and raised in New York. And after I saw him the 2 times that we went out to the movies and stuff, I didn't see him anymore, but we kept in contact over the phone. There was a period, I think a few months had passed by before I heard from him again. And we spoke And he had told me that he had a surgery done, but he didn't want to tell me what the surgery was over the phone. So he says, when I get time, I like, hopefully we can hang out so I can tell you. So I'm like, okay, cool. 2 months after that phone call, we were keeping in touch through text and all that. He called me up and he wanted to go see the movie Charlie's Angels, the one with Cameron Diaz and Drew Barrymore. I went with him. To tell you that I did not recognize him is an understatement. That guy lost nearly 200 pounds. And it's drizzling out here. I was in shock. And he was upfront about it. He had gastric bypass. He looked amazing. I was floored. I was already at that time weighing 452 pounds. And he told me that he was also in the process of waiting, I think, for the year of having post-op surgery to talk about getting a tummy tuck. Anyway, had it not been for him telling me how he had help with weight loss, I probably would be weighing now 600 pounds, if not more. So that's why I took issue with that woman lying about the surgery, because had my friend did the same thing, I would not have known about the surgery. Granted, I almost died getting the surgery because it left me in a coma for 3 weeks, but that's probably a story that I will talk about another time. Now, a lot of these YouTube influencers, what I'm taking issue with is the reason why Hollywood films are flopping. They never talk about how expensive it is for one person to go to the movies. It's $20 a ticket. Imagine you're a parent and you want to take your kids to the movies. My younger brother has a daughter who's 9 years old. My my wonderful niece. And the last time he took her to the movies, it was to go see The Little Mermaid. He took her and his stepdaughter to go watch it. He told me for that 2 hours, he spent a little over $100. This was a couple of years ago. And I said, yikes, that's pretty expensive for a movie. So he told me that he was glad that he took his daughter. Whatever personal issue he had with the film, he was happy to take her because she had fun. It is basically a kid's movie. You're having all these influencers in their 40s and in their 50s constantly complaining about movies flopping, but very rarely do they touch upon the expenses of going to a movie. That's the issue that I have. I'm not saying for you to like the movie, but don't leave out, if a movie flops, that most likely it could be because it is just too damn expensive. These streaming services are also expensive. I'm spending $21 a month for Max. I'm spending $21 a month for Disney Plus. That's $42 a month for those two streaming services. I also have Peacock. That's $10. I also have Amazon, because they do have a lot of old movies, 80s movies that I haven't watched in a long time. There's also free content, free movies through YouTube. So if you think about it, why would you want to spend over $100 to go in theaters when you can buy yourself a big screen TV, surround sound, and watch a movie in the comfort of your own home? The last time I went to the movies, it was to go see Doctor Strange 2 in the Multiverse of Madness. I liked that movie a lot. I had no issue with it as much as other people, but that's just my personal opinion. I love the character of the Scarlet Witch and I love the character of Doctor Strange. But when my guy took me, I had to pee so badly that because I didn't want to miss anything in the movie. I was like, you know what? This is the last time I'm going to the movies. Because I didn't want to crawl over somebody to go into the bathroom, to come back and crawl over that person again. So keep in mind that a lot of these influencers are getting paid. They're not doing it from the goodness of their own hearts. They're not being sincere of their complaints. If you are a movie lover, a lot of these influencers are not really talking about the movies they love, but they're just trashing movies that they hate. And I'm like, yeah, you kind of lost me on that. And some of them are actually critiquing movies that they haven't even watched because they kind of proved it a few times. And I caught that a couple of years back. They're going by notes from other people and not watching it, the content for themselves. Another thing, like the MCU, there have been, 33, 34, 35 movies that they have released since 2008, not mentioning TV shows based on the MCU, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You had the Netflix series Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist. How many more movies can you make based on superheroes before the casual viewer gets, a little bored? It's happened to every franchise since the history of Hollywood. It happened to movies like Friday the 13th, Halloween films. It's happened to A Nightmare on Elm Street. Everything has an expiration date, and these YouTubers don't mention that either. They'll give their reasons why a movie flopped. So in context, the latest Captain America movie that came out, granted, I have not watched it. I'll probably give it a watch when it hits Disney. I'm already paying for it. That movie did make more than Captain America, the First Avenger. What killed it in making money was the astronomical production budget. Why are movies costing $300 million to make? I'm confused. If everyone remembers, Deadpool, the first one, only cost $50 million. And it made over $800 million? I mean, why does a movie have to cost over $300 million to be good? The first couple of MCU films did not make over $1 billion, and it did cost over $100 million to make. It wasn't until the first Avengers movie that made the $1.5 billion to the box office. Age of Ultron, they spent a little more, but made less than the first film. The bottom line, they're making money off of hate content just to make money, to complain. The sad thing about it, it's a bunch of 40 to 50-year-old men, my age bracket, that's doing this. And it's kind of getting under my skin because a lot of times they're not being sincere at all. They're even bashing movies before they come out. I play video games. I'm not a gamer. I have the PlayStation 5. I could not afford it myself. It was a gift from two of my family members. 2 years ago. And, they know I like playing games. I don't play games that often, but I do play games. I've never played Minecraft. I didn't know that globally they sold over 350 million copies. So I didn't know that it was a big hit. But you have a lot of these influencers bashing the film before it even comes out without any concrete evidence on why the film is going to be bad. You may not like some of the actors, which is fine. Everyone has their own favorite actor they like watching. But even then, a lot of my favorite actors, like say Sly Stallone, in the 80s, he had a few flops. The problem nowadays, no one's being fair when they're critiquing a film. They're being widely biased, and that's not good. And they're doing the content, I guess, for the younger audience. I don't know. But it's like a lot of lies in their video. Minecraft, became a success. I don't think I'm going to watch the movie because I never played the video game. I had no interest in playing the video game. But guess what? There's nothing wrong with making a movie. If it's a hit, hey, that's great. It found an audience. That's good. And even then, instead of like backing away, you have a lot of influencers still using that film that they bashed before it came out to say, well, you know what? People wanted Minecraft, but they didn't want Snow White. Look, as gay as I am, I never found Snow White, even in story mode, reading it, remotely interesting. The one I was able to relate to, as weird as it may sound, was Cinderella. I watched that movie with my mom, shockingly enough, right before she passed away. She bought the movie. And I sat down with her and I watched it. And I knew the reason why she loved that movie. She related to the character of Cinderella. And now it's my favorite because I understood why she loved that movie. Cinderella was relatable. Snow White, not so much. It's just sad that 90% of the belly aching of that movie is coming from the older crowd, mostly men. Regardless of what the actress is saying, I just don't think the movie itself would have made a lot of money anyway, just because of it is geared towards children. And between the streaming services, being kind of expensive now, movie tickets, the return value, like going back to the movies second, third, and fourth time, that's gonna be a thing that's gonna die out, especially with those movies showing up on streaming 4 to 5 months later. Like, it doesn't make sense to spend $20 3 or 4 times to go see a movie, no matter how good it is. Anybody who's working 8, 9, 10-hour jobs might go once to a theater and not go back because they already know it's going to come out for digital pretty soon and then on streaming for free. Well, not for free because you're still paying for the streaming, but like the return engagement, it's not there. I only went twice in my lifetime to see a movie twice in theaters. It was Terminator 2 Judgment Day and the movie Signs starring Mel Gibson. I do not go twice to a theater. That's just me. I don't believe in spending money twice. If even then, coming out for DVD or VHS, it was something that we went once, we enjoyed it, and we waited for it to show up to purchase. But whatever issues aside, you don't have to like an actor. I'm not saying that either. I'm not saying to force yourself to go into the theaters, but a lot of these influencers are not being sincere. They're not being truthful of why Hollywood is suffering, in ticket sales. They'll give their reasons why it failed, but never the complete truth. Hey, people like to make fun, but food prices are skyrocketing. My rent went up $130 from last year to this year that we just started paying this month. We paid the extra $130. We're actually going to start looking into another place by the end of the year because the rents are really starting to hurt. That's something that these influencers don't even mention. They expect movies to be, $100 million, $100 billion hits or whatever, or $1 billion every time a film comes out. And I can tell you right now, the movie The Shining, that people are looking nowadays, like a masterpiece, it flopped in theaters in 1980. Stephen King bashed that film by Stanley Kubrick. Stephen King did a remake for TV. That wasn't really that good. The Stand was good for TV, but Stephen King's The Stand for TV, not so much. Sylvester Stallone had a few clunkers. I think Tango and Cash was one of them. Don't quote me, because we never got a sequel. Constantine with Keanu Reeves. That was a big flop. It was a $100 million production budget. I'm going to be fair and add like another maybe $20 million for marketing. But the movie only made $238 globally. It only made $75 million in the US. So that was a flop. So hearing people nowadays saying, oh, but we want Keanu Reeves back as Constantine, like the movie flopped. How are you going to make a sequel to a movie that flopped? That doesn't make any sense to me. But it doesn't, not saying that the movie stunk, because I enjoyed the movie, but it did flop. And I'm out in my yard, so you're going to probably hear voices that are not mine or a family member. There's just so many movies that flopped back in the 50s, 60s, 70s. It's a Wonderful Life, another movie. It's now revered as a holiday classic. Was a $2 million flop. These influencers won't tell you that because they have an agenda themselves. They're there to make money and to keep you mad. And I think it's wrong to do that because you're not being truthful. You're doing it to make money out of people's angst or anger. And, it's just, I don't like the lies. They're making it sound like movies started flopping in 2015. That every movie before that, they were all major blockbusters, and that's not the case. There was a sequel to Speed 2. Speed 1 with Keanu Reeves was a major hit. He did not come back for the sequel. That movie flopped. Now, I didn't mind it, but yeah, Speed 1 was better. Now, I'm not sure if Speed 2 would have been a hit even with Keanu Reeves if it took place on the boat. It might have, because there was great chemistry between Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves. So that might have, but I think Speed 1 still would have been better even if he starred in the second film. You can't always catch lightning in a bottle twice. Another thing too, Hollywood is just greedy. They'll take a movie that's a major hit and they want to keep replicating it over and over and over again, expecting that money to keep coming in. And you're diluting your own product. You're oversaturating the market with, I'm going to say the same story. And it's no longer a thing of art anymore. It's now you just want to make money. And that's where Hollywood will always suffer when it comes to that. Greed isn't a good thing. Me personally, I think I'd rather just stay home, watch movies, because I've been watching movies with friends of mine using PlayStation, and we have fun. You get your snacks before the movie. I watch movies with a friend over the phone. My girl Monica, we do that quite often, at least once a week. And she still lives in New York, the Bronx. I live in Virginia now, and we have fun. People laugh if we're watching a horror movie. I'm always the one screaming. So I think the day of going to the theaters with the expenses, it's going to be hard. It's just that when you start watching these influencers hopefully after watching this video, go with an open mind and see if you can pick apart their lies. I'm not saying they're 100% lying, but they are withholding the truth on why a movie is flopping. They won't tell you. They never bring up that things are expensive. That's something that none of them ever bring up. And I've caught that, and I've watched a lot of influencers, and that's why it's getting under my skin. $20 ticket prices? Don't you find that a little bit steep? That's the price of a monthly streaming service like Max or Disney Plus. They won't say that. They'll give their reasons why a movie flopped. Some might be true, but money is becoming an issue, and they will never bring that up. Plus, video games also joined the fray of entertainment. I think people would rather just purchase a game at $70, play at home, play online with their friends. I think people are having more fun playing video games online. I've done that. I'll hop into a party chat with a friend of mine and I'll watch him play games. Timmy, they'll do that to a few guys. They play the games really well that I feel like I'm watching a movie myself. So I don't need to go hop in a movie to be entertained. Plus, there's just so much stuff. There's free streaming services like Tubi and there's another one, Plex. There's various ways to entertain without going into the theater and spending over $100 at the movie theater. I think it's ridiculous. I can't imagine the day that they start upgrading the so-called movie theater experience, like better seating. Those ticket prices are going to skyrocket. $23 maybe, $25. Yeah, it's insane. But anyway, I hope you're stuck long enough to understand my position on the people just complaining all the time about movies and stuff, and understand where I'm coming from, why it gets under my skin. But I hope everyone's safe. I really wish that people start helping each other out instead of lying. I think the world will be a better place. I know that's never going to happen, but try to take care of each other. Don't wait for a billionaire to, be a superhero and help. That's not going to happen. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Be helpful to your next door neighbor. Because at the end of the day, we have each other. Anyway, be safe. Make sure you tell your loved ones how much you care about them, because they should be the important thing. Don't take them for granted. Life is extremely short to be always upset. Going to work is upsetting enough. To be upset over a movie or a video game or even an action figure. I try to keep my action figure stuff light, except for today. I thought I was gonna cry. My poor Superman, his leg just came right out. My Man of Steel is actually a man of plastic. Anyway, sorry for talking your ear off as long as I did. And I'm not ballsy enough to show my mug on camera. So excuse looking at boring houses. But I just wanted to say, get this off my chest. And I don't think I'll bring it up again because I don't want to bring people down. Like I said, life is depressing enough. Be safe and take care.